here's 4 anticipation guides. 1 per person. These are yours. Write your name on it.
Before using an anticipation guide to scaffold students into making predictions about some of the important concepts in the reading, the teacher takes a few minutes to explain the value of predicting before reading in order to set purposes for reading.
I just don't dive into reading something. I want to check out the pictures. Okay, so
in addition, the teacher models how the skill of predicting works for her when she reads the newspaper. She explains that it's not so important whether one's predictions are right or wrong. Making predictions simply makes it easier to read because the reader knows what she's looking for.
And I'm going to predict. Okay, so everybody take a couple of minutes to look down at the 8 statements here and just check. Yes, I agree. No, I do not agree. And don't look at your neighbor. This is your thinking. This is what you think. And so you are right with what you think, unless proven otherwise. As a group, I want you to discuss your opinions. Now think about this. This is your opinion. Discuss it with your group. Okay? And see if somebody in the group is able to change your mind. Kind of like an attorney. Okay? He's going to convince you. Let's see if they're convincing from what they know. So as a group, go number 1, number 2, and see. Now, if you still don't agree, that's okay. Because this is just a consensus of the table. So I'm going to give you about 3-4 minutes as a group to discuss your answers. Yes, it's true. No, it's not.
This teacher uses the cooperative learning model of having students bring written commitment to the discussion group. Notice the intensity of the discussions the students have even before they go into the reading.
Back here. Yeah, I check that too. And plus bald people. People who don't have hair on top. Obviously, it's thicker than that. That's true. And all the haircuts.
The teacher facilitates the pre-reading discussions by moving around the room, eavesdropping, and occasionally stimulating a group to share their thinking.
Very good.
We don't have number 1 choice.
Oh, so, and why do you think number 1 is true?
Because every time you do something to it, it changes the structure. And if you damage it, you can't do certain things to it.
And let's open up to page 550. Now we're going to be attorneys here. We're lawyers. We're going to gather information. We're going to gather facts. Okay? Our anticipation guide, those are our predictions. Those are the things we think are true or not true. So,
before going into the reading, the teacher models for the students the precise method they should be using to gather evidence to support or negate their interpretations of the anticipation guide statements.
And so for number 1, that's where my information is found. Okay? So for the next 10-15 minutes, we're going to read silently. And you will have your anticipation guide with you. And you will make the notation if in fact.
Notice how purposeful each student is during the silent reading. This occurs as a result of 3 things: the individual commitment each student has made through prediction, the pre-reading discussion that has provoked student curiosity, and the concrete task involved in gathering supporting information from the text. Because of the nature of a well-made anticipation guide, the students thoughtfully process the text. The kind of reading that the students do at this point in the class is very different from the sort of reading they do when they're finding answers to worksheets or doing end-of-chapter questions. As a result, the discussions that ensue are engaging and involve higher-order thinking.
Okay, I want you now to go back to your small groups and discuss what your findings are and come to a group consensus.
So, did everyone get true for number 1?
Yes.
Yes.
Number 2 is true.
That's
You
what
know
I
what
got.
bothers me about number 1?
As each group attempts to come to a consensus, the teacher moves around the room to observe and to facilitate the process. These discussions are an important prelude to the final step of bringing the whole class to
You
consensus.
guys all look so good in your blue. We'll use blue. All right, this is my first group that has come to a consensus. And I want you to tell me, do you agree with this statement? Is that true or is it not true? And if somebody has something to say about it, please chime in.
It's true.
It's true. Whatever you do to hair will affect the structure of the hair, and the structure of the hair will determine how you provide a service to it.
No.
Oh,
What do you mean?
speak up. I like a good argument. Go on.
Shaking her no.
Our group says yes, and you said no. Tell me why.
You're not chemically doing anything to affect it.
It didn't say chemically.
Yeah,
Like whatever you do, like if you blow dry your hair and you're opening.
In attempting to achieve classroom consensus, the students are analyzing the text, synthesizing with their own prior knowledge, thinking about how what they have read will apply in the real world, and evaluating each other's interpretations of the reading.
Sit there and like hold the hair dryer like this with your head up.
So you're saying that will? Okay, where did we find the answer to this in our book?
Doesn't say whatever in the book, but
What does it say?
it just says.
It's important that the teacher provoke the students into citing the text and explaining their own interpretation of the text.
I agree
You agree?
with Jamie, yeah. Because there's 3 layers to the structure of your hair, which is the cuticle and the cortex and the medulla. And whenever you dye your hair, it goes into the medulla. Whenever you blow dry it, it affects the cuticle. So whatever you do affects some portion of that hair.
Why?
Because the book says right here it's middle layer.
Very good. The book is now our guide. Okay. And what paragraph is it on?